Do you like to wine and dine in downtown Lafayette? Or maybe go see a show and grab some drinks at a new bar or restaurant in the downtown area? Well, today we're going to talk everything downtown with my special guest and friend, Michele Ezell, who's got a really killer project that she's working on called Ashby Crossing at the old Don's location in downtown. All right, so Michele, a Keatyiana wants to know what happens after Tsunami for Michele Ezell.
Well, I go to work for Jim Keaty, or with Jim Keaty.
Yeah.
I took a few months off, maybe 6 months off, and just to kind of evaluate what I wanted to do. Born and raised in this community, I had 25 about years of experience in the hospitality industry, and I was just kind of like, take a back seat and see what direction it takes me. And lucky for everyone, I got my real estate license in 2020 during COVID.
Right.
I took the class during
Right.
COVID as a backup plan because I was kind of treading water and trying to figure out what was going to happen if the restaurants never came back online. So through that process, it really piqued my interest. It started off as a backup plan, and it ended up being something where I'm reading going, I like this. Oh, this is interesting. And I really liked the process. And so I put that in my back pocket. And even though the restaurants came back online and we're doing okay, the interest had already kind of started to,
It started to grow.
I
remember we had some conversations. You were just, hey, what if I did get my license?
Right.
And so now you're in real estate full time. You've sold Tsunami, and you're moving on to another chapter of your life. I mean, you're a mom, you're a wife, and now you're a realtor, and you were an entrepreneur. You actually were the catalyst to downtown. I mean, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, I think everybody could agree. There was no sushi restaurant in Lafayette really like Tsunami, and being downtown was a huge risk. But obviously, you had some foresight back then, 20 years ago, when you started it.
I'd like to say that I had some foresight, some grand plan that I had in place, like, the evil villain coming up with a big plan, master plan. But I think I wanted to be down there because I wanted to be around cool people. And so I knew the cool people were downtown. The artists and the creative were all happening downtown.
So you kind of, you just wanted to be around the cool people.
I wanted to be around the risk takers and the cool people and the out of the box thinkers. And that's where, I felt like they were. So that's where we landed.
Well, and you could tell too, like through the people that you hired, and it was that really cool vibe. And I mean, it was I had never seen anything like that living here for so long. It wasn't until you go and explore other places that you could see really cool restaurants, and so I would say Tsunami was a catalyst, and now we're looking at an entirely different environment downtown. Correct. Right? I mean, it's hard to believe that. How much has happened in the last 24 months. But at the same time, obviously you and I would have wished the same thing happened 10 years ago. Correct. But it's finally happening. Right. So tell us a little bit what you're seeing from your perspective.
Sure. And that's kind of interesting because I didn't really realize it until I look back. Because when we opened Tsunami, one of my thoughts, kind of deep thoughts, was, man, wouldn't it be cool if this block was this and that block was that? So even though I was in the restaurant industry, I was still in my mind kind of developing a plan for what could happen from retail and from a commercial standpoint and from other restaurants growing into that market. And kind of I didn't realize that I had an interest there. Because I just thought it was just my thoughts. But obviously, I was also planting a seed from a development or from a real estate perspective.
Yeah, so you kind of saw it, but you thought it was just you, envisioning what was possible.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so I think that fast forward again to now, you mentioned being an entrepreneur. I really didn't know what that meant back then. But when I left the food and beverage industry, I still wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I didn't want to start something new, not that I'm old, but I'm just like, that's so in this environment, in this industry, that's what you are as a realtor. You're an entrepreneur. You own your own business. You want to make $1, go out and make $1. You don't want to make $1, then it's up to you, right? So kind of owning your own business in real estate is, the kind of the same thing in the restaurant industry. Come up with my own marketing, come up with my my ideas, and with the resources that obviously your broker Jim Keaty gets to kind of buffer you, and direct you.
Sure. Yeah. No. And I mean, I could tell, like, we've had lots of agents who come from other jobs, and when they've worked for themselves, that's really what is the most difficult, and I see people fail day in and day out because they're willing to work harder for somebody else than they are themselves. So the fact that you went through that period of like hustling, you can't open up a restaurant part-time.
No.
And real estate's the same way. And we've talked about that. So,
right.
It's the discipline that comes with being an entrepreneur and owning your own business. It's all the same because it is your business,
Yeah. So, you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to also point out, because you and I have been around downtown for a hot second or two. And
well, I kind of owe you for my family because Danielle used to work at Tsunami, and that's how I would go there and try to puff up my feathers and try to just get a chance to talk to her.
Yep, you kept the lights on. Fool, right? You kept the lights on at Tsunami.
I finally broke her down.
You finally tricked her.
Yeah, but and it's funny though. I was thinking that because I run into people that used to work with Danielle, and it's the culture is big time. And I mean, we were just talking about this, how they would have their own Christmas parties, and they still do. They still get together. I know. Unfortunately, Damien passed away recently, and I know there was a big outcry from everybody who used to work with him, and it was a big deal.
It was. It's funny you say that because his funeral, when I'd look around, I was like, there were so many people from our past, 22 years of Tsunami that it formed a family,
Yeah.
It
I mean,
really
we
did.
owe probably 20% of the population here in Lafayette because of Tsunami.
Exactly. The population increased.
Good drinks, good food, and
engagements, marriages, and babies.
No kidding. And Danielle and I, we still try to go there every anniversary because that's where we really started seeing each other.
I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories like that. I know.
There are.
I know a lot of the people, who used to work together, started dating, and then they get married, and then they meet other people at Tsunami. So it's a thing.
Well, and that's the cool
part. It's not just a restaurant.
No, and that's just it. That's the cool part of what was just a kind of a little something down Jefferson Street that people had to, that was kind of all that was going on. And now you wouldn't recognize it, right? From 22 years ago to now, you drive down that same street and go, wow, look what all's happened. Just in the past 2 years, I think 10 different businesses have opened just on the 400 and 500 block of Jefferson, since 2020.
Right.
The residential that has exploded downtown in the past 20 years is really great. And almost all of them...
in the past 24 months.
Well, I was going to say all of them came online in the past 2 years, and they're at capacity or at 90% capacity. One of the residential buildings that's opening, they had a waiting list before they even finished construction. They were almost at full capacity before they even opened. So, and there's more to come.
Yeah, and it's great because you have people like Stephen Artigo who took a risk, like you did, but with a residential building, and he's got more stuff planned, I know. And then you had E.J. Crampy with the federal courthouse, which, that's turning out really, really well. I know that they, they're planning another one over another development on the, Buchanan side of downtown over there is coming up soon, too. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So,
the more the merrier.
They've got a lot of residential coming to that, which attracts also more restaurants. And speaking of restaurants, we've had 2 or 3 new restaurants that we've just put people in downtown, and you've got one coming up. Let's take this opportunity. Tell us what the project is and where is it?
That's a great transition, Jim. I have to tell you, because my love for downtown and my love for the restaurant industry kind of parlays into this project that I'm happy to be able to be a part of as a listing agent. So the old Downs downtown building that's on the corner of Taylor and Vermilion and Lee.
Right.
It is under redevelopment right now, and so that restaurant space is going to be a hot commodity. It's, someone is going to do great things with that space.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a great location because it's really surrounded by downtown. Because Jefferson, most people don't know this, but it kind of makes a horseshoe almost around Parc Sans Souci. You've got the parking garage there, and then of course you've got Vermilion Street, which could be considered the center of downtown, 1 block away from the Center for the Arts. So
yeah, I mean, that little street right now is kind of booming because Wild Child moved right there, and then Wild Child Wines actually expanded. They grew into a space, and then they're about to expand again. So that's a very cool street to be on right now. You have French Press right across the street, Wild Child's, and then Agave, and 500 parking spaces in the garage.
And a parking lot.
And
you got 2 parking lots.
You got a parking lot adjacent.
Right now there's 2 parking lots. One of them will be adjacent to the building, which is a future plans for apartments, more residential.
More residential and retail, and another restaurant space.
Right.
So the whole, the name of the project is Ashby Crossing.
Go over that. Where did that come from?
The people that bought the building from the Landrys, from Don's, they wanted to kind of, tip a hat a little bit to the family that spent so much time developing that. And it was an icon, Don's Downtown was an icon. And so I believe Mr. Rocky's name, his name is Ashby,
That's
right? And his father's name was Ashby.
Right.
So I think they just wanted to keep that connection of, that's what was a beacon in downtown for so long. And so I think it's cool that they kept the name.
I think it's really cool. So they're, really honoring, what Don's was to the community and everything, but still it's different. It's not Don's. So.
Right. It's not Don's. And so what will it be? I don't know. There's about 6,000 square feet, the current existing restaurant space that's going to be redeveloped. There's about 6,000 square feet. It can be subdivided depending on tenants' needs.
Right.
And then
so you got 6,000 square feet of restaurant, which was one restaurant. But now it's potentially could be developed into 5 different suites, maybe.
It could.
1,000 square feet each, if that's what they wanted.
Correct.
Yeah. Or we could rent out 1,000 square foot space and then a 5,000 square foot restaurant.
Yeah. And then that's what they're not calling it phase 1 necessarily, but when I look at the project, I see that as a first phase. And then right directly behind that, closer to the Festival International building, there are plans to also do maybe another restaurant, some retail space on the first floor, as well as apartments, condos actually.
Well, we have a video. Tommy, can we play that video during this spot? Well, let's check out this video, and this is kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like.
Don's Downtown is a historical landmark in downtown Lafayette, known as a gathering place for the families and businesses of Acadiana for generations. Now, up to 6,000 square feet is set to be completely revitalized and leased for a new tenant to continue the legacy of this incredible location.
Part of what makes this project so exciting is the history of the property. This has been a gathering place for the entire Lafayette community for really close to 100 years now.
It says right outside there on the neon sign, the world's first Cajun restaurant.
There used to be big long lines here for holidays and for Mardi Gras, and it was just the center of Lafayette.
The fan base of Don's, it is far-reaching, I can tell you that.
I was probably here more for wedding rehearsal dinners and things because that was just the spot where they went and grew up in.
And Don's is where you could come get those fried seafood platters and that seafood gumbo that, man, I just can't get out of my head.
That's just going to transition to the next generation, right? They're going to remember those stories from this building.
That's something that makes this really special to us. It's still in a location that is at the very core of our downtown physically, and also at the very core culturally what Lafayette is.
And having the opportunity to now be part of getting this property redeveloped is truly a dream come true as a business person.
I see Ashby Crossing as a top redevelopment opportunity in downtown Lafayette.
Ashby Crossing is a group of guys who got together with different skill sets, and we realized there was an opportunity.
In fact, when Nathan Norris came here and he was this world-class urbanist, within a week of being here, he identified this site as the top site for redevelopment in all of downtown.
Most people know Rocky. His real name is Ashby, and his dad's name was Ashby too.
Ashby's were the ones who originally owned this space.
Pretty much paying homage and respect to Mr. Rocky, and his predecessors.
So we're trying to honor the past, but at the same time, we're trying to point to a new future.
Because it's been such an important meeting place for our community for so long, we want to make sure that in its next life, it's that again.
This location is very special because of its proximity to a little bit of everything.
We're right next to Parc Sanssouci. Right on the other side of that park is a 500+ car parking garage. Right across the street, you've got French Press, Wild Child Wines, Smart Shop, Agave.
So you have all this activity going on, and just to have that interaction it just makes it a really great place.
It's just like a little ecosystem of things that drive a business to success, all threaded into one.
This is a perfect location for someone who's looking for foot traffic because this is where the people are.
I mean, we are lifelong downtown people. We're emotionally invested in downtown, we're financially invested in downtown, because we know that great small towns, great small to medium cities are great because they have great downtowns.
Ashby Crossing has a very defined mission. The idea behind is that we're going to do an incremental residential and commercial development broken down in different phases. Obviously, the most important phase is the one we're in now, is the rehab of the existing structure of Don's and putting this existing structure back to commerce with 1, 2, or potentially 3 very exciting businesses.
So we want to merchandise uses in here that work for the community that lives downtown, works downtown, comes in and out of downtown, or somebody coming in on I-10 and wants to see something really cool downtown. There's enough canvas here to really make a glorified plan and do all the things and make them function together.
What's happening in this space right now is people who have committed decades of their time and energy and resources to developing other things downtown, to developing the next thing downtown.
We feel a little bit of pressure. We know it's been sitting here for a couple of years, but rest assured, we're working on it, we're very passionate about it, and we're excited to see what it becomes.
We're going to have a great mix of residential and retail and food, and it'd be a great place to come and start your downtown excursion before, anytime you wanted to.
You're going to see sidewalk improvements, lighting improvements, you're going to see some landscaping. It's going to be incredible, and I think that's going to be an awesome complement to what eventually locates in this building.
I think we're on the path to get it right. And we get it right, if you're not a huge fan of downtown, you're going to want to come see what we did. If you are a big fan of downtown, you're going to be here all the time to support what we did.
Be patient, wait and see what the final result is, and I think you'll be very happy with it.
And provide feedback, reach out to us via our website or reach out to us through our partners.
It's phenomenal, looks amazing, Michelle.
It's exciting.
It's a great opportunity just to even be part of this. So I'm honored that, and I could see why this group of guys wanted to have your influence, because there's nobody better that knows the restaurant business in Lafayette, downtown Lafayette, than you. Now, I do want to touch on like what you saw in the video. It's an interesting concept because I've heard a lot of people. I was at Don's in Covington recently, and somebody had said, "Well, what's happening to the Don's downtown?" They heard that it was a national chain, or somebody from out of town came in and bought it, and they were going to do something with it. But it's those local guys right there, right here in Lafayette that you wouldn't have normally expected these guys to get together. You've got a restaurateur, a banker, architect, real estate guy. I mean, it's a wild group of guys, and but with all the same interest and passion for downtown. This is not something they're doing, just to make a buck. Right. It's really because they're investing in the downtown, because most of them have other things in the downtown area. So,
and you're right, that the thread that puts them all together is their passion for downtown. Right. And all of them have some sort of a commitment or investment in other entities in downtown. And so it was kind of like they stepped up, not to save the space, but to protect it, and they wanted to make sure that space was redeveloped properly, and how important that space being redeveloped is to the whole of downtown. Yeah. So we don't really have anchors downtown. We're not that kind of a shopping center vibe. But if something was going to be one, if we wanted to label one, it would be that property.
Right.
It absolutely
could be for sure. So what do you think? What do you foresee? Like, if you had a magic wand, what kind of place would you see there?
We don't have a full-scale steakhouse downtown, so one would say, why don't we try to market to some steakhouses? Yeah. We don't really have an Italian restaurant downtown. So, one would say maybe that. I love local chefs doing things much more than a franchise or corporate, but it doesn't mean that a franchise or corporate wouldn't fit in and couldn't fit in. Through menu development or design, that can always work. But we have so many talented chefs in Lafayette, in Louisiana.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I think even there's room for some New Orleans chefs to move downtown. I see it. I know there's another development happening in Mid-City, and it's a group from New Orleans that's going to be opening something there. So I'm like, keep on coming, New Orleans. We can definitely, we have plenty of room for some talented New Orleans chefs.
Yeah, we really haven't seen a lot of people from New Orleans. I mean, we saw the guy from Dat Dog come downtown, and I thought that he did a great job, with the actual place. But,
I did too.
The hot dogs were amazing, but the service was kind of slow, and it was hard to get it out to the customers fast enough.
Yeah, I was surprised that because I was a fan of it in New Orleans, and I went to it in New Orleans, and you never know what the formula's gonna.
Some things just click. Like Tsunami really clicked here, and if you would have told me before you started, I would have said, there's no way. Like, who's going to go to a sushi restaurant in downtown Lafayette?
A lot of banks said no way. A lot of banks said no way. My parents said no way. There was a lot of no ways back in.
But I'm glad that you stuck with it and did it, because, I mean, I might not have my family without it.
I know.
But what do you think, like, there's certain restaurants that I have seen that in downtown that have made that kind of impact. Like, I think everybody could say that, Central Pizza definitely made a big splash.
Sure.
And it's not the first pizza place that we had on Jefferson, but it was just done differently. They really went all out on the interior and providing a really good product.
Correct.
So and it has that kind of that vibe that the same people that are working there. They look like they're having fun.
Yeah. You feel very local when you're in there. Pamplona, huge. I mean, that's big for downtown.
Huge.
Vestal, so happy to have Vestal downtown. It is. We did a downtown dining guide. I don't remember what year it was. It was early Tsunami days. The Russo group, Jackie Russo and I put together a downtown dining guide. We wanted to leave it at all the courthouses, and it was going to, each restaurant had a menu on it. So we were just going to leave them everywhere. So people kind of knew when they left jury duty, like, oh, here are all these options. And if I remember correctly, I think we had 19 restaurants sign up to buy a page and to get it produced. And right now, there are more than 30 restaurants in downtown Lafayette, and all thriving, all doing well. So, I mean,
and they're all so different, and they're all so good. Like this weekend, we went to actually Tommy, our camera guy. I saw him at Sundays, which, if you haven't been there, that's super cool place. I mean, what a great place to bring the kids and the family. And of course, we talked about Carpe Diem, which my kids love too. Like, but it's all different.
It's cool.
Like,
It's cool because you have 3 different places in downtown Lafayette to get ice cream, depending on what you want. It's do you want that Sunday style, literally a Sunday, or do you want to go to Borden's and get pralines and cream ice cream, which is what I get, or you have a favorite at Cafe at
Carpe Diem. The Biscoff over there is just phenomenal.
So it's just that, to me, again, throwing it back 20-something years, like that's what I envision, to be able to have several different options of something. I mean, it's crazy. There's 3 different places to get, gelato or ice cream downtown. How cool.
You know what a lot of people I talk to all the time, and we just don't have, I don't know why, we don't have any rooftops.
I don't know
isn't
why.
That interesting? It
is.
I know it's very expensive because we've looked into doing it for different property owners, and it's a very, very expensive endeavor. But you would think people would just go to. I know Spoonbill, before it was Spoonbill Filling Station, they were trying to do it there, and they had some issues with the proximity of the different businesses and the church and residences. But it would be really cool to have that.
I think it's probably what it is. I know at our Baton Rouge location, we although it had a rooftop, when we tried to just do any small renovations on the rooftop, it was a nightmare. I mean, it took probably 14 months before we finally just said, never mind, just doing the research and development. So we have so many existing buildings downtown to try to put a rooftop restaurant on something, or anything, bar, whatever. It's just costly and if physically probably impossible. We even tried to, not even a rooftop, we tried to do a off the the mezzanine in Tsunami. You and I had an interview up there one time. We wanted to blow that out and do a patio that kind of like a balcony.
Sure.
Just that first was going to cost like $150,000, but because the building was so old and the structure of the building, the integrity of the building was questionable, so all of the work that would have to go in to just fix the facade and make sure it didn't fall off, just to do a balcony. So I think that and so we didn't do it because that didn't make any sense. So I think it's the same problem. So if someone's going to do a rooftop, it's going to probably have to be new construction. So it's built into the plan. The structure is, the integrity of the structure can support whatever goes on the roof, and it can be designed so the ACs that's just it. You're moving AC units around, and it's just our hood systems. If there's a restaurant on the first floor and you want to put something on the roof, now there's a hood system that's chased out. There's air conditioners pop. There's no place to do it. So it'll have to be Ashby Crossing. Maybe somebody wants to be part of a rooftop development
at Ashby
there.
Crossing, they're planning on a really cool patio too. They're actually demoing part of the building to provide space for a really nice patio, outdoor patio area.
We're kind of hanging our hat on getting that street, that is getting Taylor closed, making it a pedestrian street.
Okay.
That's the street between the Don's building and the park. And so if we could create that as a pedestrian thoroughfare, and that it's not car accessed, the patio will be there. So it'll be a pedestrian thoroughfare with a patio that looks at Parc Sans-Souci as well as Festival International Park, or Parc International. That is going to be, for events. I mean, there's over 1,400 different live music events in either venues, outdoor venues, or in bars and restaurants downtown annually. 1,400. So
there's going to be plenty of foot traffic there, and as long as you don't screw up the old fashioned, you'll probably have the same people coming back. But I would imagine Ashby Crossing, they got to do some type of old fashioned whatever comes in there.
I would think. That's what people. If you walked around, if you came to Downtown Alive and you had that little short, stumpy to-go cup with the swizzle sticks, you knew where that person had been. And that's just it. That's what we're hoping that the message we can get across to people that are interested in opening a restaurant downtown, specifically in that location, is that there's a built-in clientele, before Downtown Alive.
You can, as soon as it's done, you literally could turn on the lights and you're going to have people coming in no matter what. I mean, we've seen that with other businesses that have closed and then reopened the same type of business. We had one time a furniture store, they moved and then we leased out the space to another guy, and it's like the customers didn't even know it changed because they just kept going. And so you have this, you don't even have to get them there. They're already coming to downtown for whatever one of these 1,400 events. And there's so many different groups, whether it was, reunions, Kiwanis clubs. I know the Bar Association, people that used to have meetings there and have lunches there every Friday, or all through the week, really. But, you know, it's a built-in clientele, which I think is unique.
Correct.
That you're not going to get if you're going to be, you know, building your own restaurant on Ambassador Caffrey.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
not that that's a bad thing.
No.
It's just,
it's different. And you're right, because you have that built-in consumer base. You also have that built-in curious consumer base, you know, even if they just don't, they want to come and see what people did to the old Don's building.
That's right.
They're going to want to see. So you just have that other element in the pie of marketing. You have that element that not a lot of other restaurants or businesses have when they're doing a marketing of like, who we're going to market to. Well, all of a sudden we need to make sure we're marketing to these curious people who've spent years and years doing those things you just mentioned, and they're going to want to come and see. Like, what'd you do to our building? You know, because they had lunches there, like you said, every Wednesday or once a month, Rotary. So, and that being said, another thing that's opening around the corner from this is that One Acadiana is moving downtown. That's a huge nod to the belief in downtown's growth and future. To have, you know, for those that aren't familiar, One Acadiana is our Chamber of Commerce. To have them moving downtown, and that's a regional. They're going to be bringing
tell them
people
where it's coming.
In the old bank building. Was it Home Bank?
Home Bank.
Yep.
That's
right in the
amazing.
curve of Jefferson Street.
I know they've been wanting to get downtown for a while, so I'm glad to see that they're downtown, because now we have the Opportunity Machine, which used to be, you know, a nightclub, is now like a really, really cool facility where people, all different types of businesses can go and work there and incubate, you know. And if you haven't been there, I know they do tours. You should go check it out. It's really, really cool.
Yeah,
so you have that coming.
Right.
You've got all these new restaurants. We got one hopefully opening its doors within the next 4 months at the end where Dat Dog was. We're still working on that.
Okay.
Can't talk about it just yet, but that's going to be a really good. That'll be right across from Rev, and that's going to be an awesome little spot. I think everybody's going to be excited about that. Plus, you've got Rock and Bowl and their restaurant that's going to be coming back, you know, in line. And then you've got other buildings that are being put back into commerce. The one right next to Rock and Bowl, in between the General Office Supply, was just purchased recently, and they've got plans. So, I mean, things are happening downtown, and it's just a cool place to be. I mean, we were talking about this. We actually had our Christmas party recently at Jefferson Street Pub, which, by the way, you know, I know Tim owns it, and the people over there were phenomenal. The people that were working at Jefferson Street Pub, so hats off to those guys.
It was a great venue,
Great venue. It was perfect for a smaller office like ours to have our venue, our party there. But anyway, it was great.
I'm going to interrupt you, and you can come back to it. But that's a great point to the ecosystem of downtown, because we went and ate somewhere before. Had some drinks, had a meal, walked over to the party, and then walked to another event going on downtown. So it's just like, you just keep moving around. You park one time, or Uber if you're smart, and then you just move around downtown within that one little community. Right.
So like, you got there a little earlier, went to eat, did some other things, went to another event. And then I came back the next morning to pick up my car, and I ran into like 4 or 5 other people that left their cars there. And then we ended up going to Sundays to have some ice cream and some lunch. And then I know Tommy went to the planetarium with his kids, and then he went to Dwyer's for breakfast. I mean, it's a thing now. And now they're even doing brunches on Sundays occasionally. And Downtown Alive is still happening. You still have Downtown Alive, and right now during Christmas, they've got a beautiful Christmas display. So definitely should go downtown and check it out. If you haven't been to downtown recently, you should go. Yeah. And if you're thinking about, you know, putting your business somewhere, it's a great place to be. I mean, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
It's different. You know, it's, you know, you get to, every day you get to wake up and decide, okay, well, which lunch place am I going to go to today? And you don't have to get in your car.
No. You know? And, you know, you mentioned businesses, and I think of a couple of them that, again, I mentioned that One Acadiana is moving downtown. You know, Root Floral, really cool, funky, creative floral shop. They were downtown, then they left. I don't even remember where they went, but guess what? They're back downtown. So,
yeah, that's cool.
Bougie Candle Bar. I was actually a landlord for Bougie Candle Bar in their original location. They outgrew it. They got so busy that they outgrew it, but they loved downtown so much, they just found a bigger space downtown. So again, they had an opportunity when they outgrew their space, they could have gone anywhere, but they wanted to stay downtown. Huge, kudos to them for that, and kudos to downtown for loving them, right?
Yeah.
And so those are things that that I liked about being downtown, and that I'm glad I could be part of this Ashby Crossing project, because I love downtown.
Yeah.
I want to be part of its continued success and its continued growth, and if I can do it from a realtor perspective,
Yeah.
then that's pretty cool.
What do you think the biggest challenges are from a restaurant? I mean, obviously, I know that your first 6 months is critical when you're starting any business.
Sure.
But what do you think the challenges are as a restaurant owner?
Just in general?
Yeah, just in general, like starting a new restaurant in a new spot.
Yeah, I think that right now in the environment we're in, labor is going to be one of your biggest problems. But hiring the right people, not just having enough people, but hiring.
So
the
that
right
could be a
people.
challenge, but it could also be, what really makes you thrive.
Correct.
Right.
It's very important. Have the right players in place from jump is extremely important. Sometimes people go into the industry, either they're a chef owner or just an owner, and they just think they have all the answers and they know all they know everything, and they try to do it all. And it's hire people that know what they're doing.
Excuse me. I was trying to hold it in.
There you go. Here, you want to take this?
I got some water.
Just keep it on the side if you need some. Just close up. Sorry.
Thank you, Tommy. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought up challenges.
Just cut that whole part out.
I was close up on you, so we didn't see any of that. So I'm just gonna cut back to the why, and you can just take it from there.
Why what?
You can just pick it up from where you were talking.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
We were just talking about
labor.
That labor and,
Oh.
and things about getting people to show up for work, I guess.
Yeah. Hire the right people. Be a good leader. Let people hire the right people and let them do their job. Mm-hmm. That's the key. It's from the top up leadership. Not being present is a problem. You gotta be there. Roll your sleeves up. Kiss babies. Shake hands. Bus tables. Whatever you have to do. So. I don't know.
Well, and Ashby Crossing can lend itself to not just a restaurant. We could also, definitely could house any type of retail or maybe even a little meat market if we're lucky.
That would be cool. I would. Let's see. We have 3 places to eat ice cream. Maybe we need 3 places where you could get boudin, because now you can get boudin at Johnson's.
Yeah.
So maybe you need. Maybe we could handle that.
Yeah, we got some really good food downtown.
We do.
Johnson's, Pops. I'm not gonna list them all, but there's a lot.
Well, like I said, there's more than 30.
And then on
I
the
started
other side,
to count.
you got Scratch, Hideaway. Up and down. It's a phenomenal place. What's interesting is Pat's. I love Pat's, but they're not really open normally in the evenings,
right?
Yeah,
they cater a lot.
Except for Downtown Alive.
Yeah,
or
Pat's,
something.
I would tell you, caters a lot to just the daytime employee.
Right.
Looking for a plate lunch or
Yeah.
gumbo. That's because Don's isn't there anymore, so you got.
Oh yeah, the gumbo is good. Pat's,
Yeah.
Pat's got a hell of a gumbo.
They
do.
They do.
Well, let's see. What else should we talk about?
I was gonna. Okay. Also impressed with.
Excuse me.
Also super impressed with having Rock and Bowl downtown. And you could speak more to this probably, but I'm under the impression that the rental, the leasing is almost at full capacity, I think. Yeah. And they cater to anything from, I think, a 500 or 600 or 800 square foot space to much
30,000.
30,000
big,
space. Right. So I love what Johnny Blanchard's done down there, as well as the first floor component, to have a venue that can be morphed and changed in so many ways. Not only can you go bowling downtown, which you couldn't do 20 years ago, you can host events and well-done events. The acoustics there are fantastic. The stage, the dance floor, and then the private rooms above. You could have 2 or 3 things going on in that building and not even really know it. So I never even, in my little vision board of downtown, I didn't even have that on it. And what a huge gem to have that.
Yeah, and I remember when Johnny was, what happened was they came here for Katrina. They said they fell in love with Lafayette, and they wanted to, bring Rock and Bowl here. And he was looking at other locations and he just gravitated back to downtown, and so thankful that he's there, because that is an anchor for us now. It's an anchor that we would have never thought about, but it really does bring in so many more people. It's like the churches. You've got the churches who are constantly bringing people, whether it's weddings or services.
The services, yeah.
But Brock and Bowl's doing it all week long as much as they can. And he's really catering during the week, trying to cater to the schools, trying to get those get more people downtown.
Right.
And now we have people downtown. I mean, we have I lived downtown for 15 years, and for most of that, on a Tuesday night, if you're driving or riding your bike downtown, there's nobody. There's different pockets where, okay, people are parking because they're going to Pamplona and then, Tsunami. But for the most part, it's like a ghost town during the week. Where it was a ghost town. Now we have people walking up and down the streets. You've got people visiting. Like I was there the other day, and it was a Friday in the middle of the day, and there was people just walking around. I was like, man, this is really, really cool to see.
And it's not just Jefferson Street anymore. That's the other part that's cool, is like all of the little side streets are developing and drawing that pedestrian activity as well. So, I mean, from you go, right when you turn onto Jefferson, you have, Spoonbill, which has been open 4 years now, very popular, all the way down to the underpass with Rev and whatever is going to be going into the old Dat Dog building. I mean,
Spoonbill, if it's a nice day outside, there's nothing better than going over there and hanging out outside. It's like being on a rooftop.
Yeah, that's pretty close to it. Yeah.
But so, all right, so you've sold Tsunami. It's been how long?
Officially, a few months, like wet signature, but unofficially, I sold the operating end of it almost 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, what's the thing that you miss the most?
Not paying for my food at Tsunami.
It's funny because most people probably get tired of their own food when you're but I see you there all the time. Every time I was at Tsunami, you were with your family eating on the weeknights and stuff, and I'd pick up there at least 2 or 3 times a week.
A group from here after an event that we had at Keaty Real Estate, a whole group of us went out and ate there on a Wednesday, and it was delicious and good and just as expected. And it's funny. My daughters are coming in, those that don't live here are all coming in for Christmas and bringing boyfriends this year, my adult children. And we're planning out our meals because, one of my daughter's boyfriends lives in New York. It's from New York, and so he's never been to Lafayette. So she wants him to go to the places she's been talking about. And Friday night, we have a reservation at Tsunami because she wants him to know. It's just funny that.
Well, it's some of the best sushi I've ever had.
What's cute to me that when people come home to Louisiana, that sushi's on their must-have.
No kidding.
I think that's just the need. And there's this is what's also neat to me, because my youngest daughter, who's now 20, she was born 2 years after we opened, so she doesn't know a world, like you and I know a world without Tsunami. We know a world without sushi, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't. And her whole, friend group, they don't understand a world without it. So that's what's cool, is like that restaurant is now at the age where people don't know not having it.
And it's exciting to know that there's more spaces that are coming online to get more diverse food in the downtown area. Yeah. Well, just in Lafayette in general. I mean, we're so much more diverse than we were 30 years ago.
Yeah. I don't eat red beans and rice a whole lot. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while. I don't eat rice and gravy very often. I mean, we all grew up on it, but I think as we travel, right, we're more travel demographic than I think our parents were, right? So we use our passports more than our parents did. And so we've eaten other foods. We've tasted other cultures' foods. And so we're a little bit more open-minded to it. What do you think is missing downtown food-wise?
Well, I mean, there's some, we could definitely use an Indian place.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I mean, I love Masalas, and there's a few other really good places around town.
We're regulars at Masala as well.
But I mean, Indian, and what's funny is, like, we were talking about, like, people are coming home to Lafayette to have sushi, but it's like got the Cajun flair to it.
Right.
It's not like a normal sushi place that's like in New York or whatever. It's got its Cajun.
Right.
you know.
Well, I mean, there's fried
pieces.
alligator in some of the rolls. So.
Crawfish, alligator. I mean,
Right.
you know, so everything that we do down here, it seems to have their own little twist, right? So we made it our own little Cajun dish, or you know, Pops is phenomenal.
Yeah.
They've got good stuff, and
Yeah.
even Pimpolone. I mean, that a lot of the things, they're Mediterranean, right? So like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things inside their menu that just, you know, they make it Cajun.
Sure. Ooh, that Chinese. We don't have Chinese downtown.
Chinese,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, sure, there's Asian with Tsunami, but a legit Chinese.
Yeah.
You know, not a low rent one, kind of a little bit more high rent Chinese restaurant. That would be good.
Yeah.
I'd show up for that dinner party.
Before we close out, because we're running out of time, tell me when is it going to be online? When is Ashby Crossing going to be ready to be leased out?
Well, it is ready to show. I can tell you that. If someone's interested, they could reach out to me via email or our phone, and I'm happy to show them the space and kind of show them the renderings that are just, you know, pie in the sky idea, but to give someone an idea of a perspective of what could happen in the space. So it's ready to show.
But so they have the designs, because I've seen it, and we have it in the video. It's the renderings of the exterior, but the inside is really a blank canvas.
Right now, it hasn't been demoed, but
Yeah.
it could be a blank canvas. Yes,
Yeah.
like you can come in right now and see what's existing, but you know that can be all white boxed, and we
Yeah.
can put your tables and chairs and wherever the tenant sees fit. But it's
Very
ready
similar
to show.
to like where French Press is and Wildcats.
Wild Child.
Wild Child. I'm sorry.
What's Wild Child?
I couldn't remember. I knew it was wild. So
Yes.
I bought some wine there too, and it was really good. But that was the Poches had purchased that, and they did a phenomenal job, because that used to be the old
Tribune
Tribune
yeah.
printing, and they cut it up into 4 different suites originally.
Correct.
They had the bike store and you know, French Press,
yeah.
and then there was 2 other.
I don't remember.
It was 2 other
Yeah.
businesses that
Yeah.
came and went, but yeah, so it's the same similar situation. We could cut that building up to meet the demands of almost any retail restaurant,
Yep.
As long as it fits within the overall
Correct.
you
It
know,
has to work.
feeling of the building.
Yeah, we're not probably. I don't see them being interested in cutting and doing 5,500 square feet and leaving a 500 square
Sure.
foot space. But correct. If you know, we're open to starting the brainstorming. You know, part the ideas of anyone that's interested, anyone that has in the next year or 2 an idea that they want to open a restaurant in downtown Lafayette. They need to talk to us.
Yeah,
they
or
need to come sit in the space.
In Lafayette in general, it should
In Lafayette
be,
in general, for sure.
on your consideration list.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just in my mind, of course you're going to be in
Yeah.
downtown Lafayette
Yeah.
if you want to open a restaurant, and also because of the activity just in general, from a business perspective, civic perspective, restaurant, food, dining, museums,
Yeah.
education. There's schools, there's churches. It's just adding another element of something else that goes on downtown. You know.
Well, and so if you are interested, you can always reach out to Michele, and you'll also get some free consulting, because I'm sure she'll give you some free restaurant consulting and some advice how to open up the restaurant in the downtown Lafayette, because she did a very phenomenal job. I think everybody would agree.
Absolutely. I actually look forward to sharing my experience with anyone that's a potential tenant in that space. I can share the 22 years of why it worked and how it worked and
Yeah.
why it can
And
continue
that's
to work.
valuable. You know, I think the fastest way to success is to learn from everybody else's mistakes.
R&D.
Yeah, R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Rip off and duplicate.
And but you could also, if you are interested in opening up a restaurant, you need to call Michele, whether you want to be downtown or not, because she absolutely can help you find a space that's perfect for you, even
Yeah.
if it's not in the downtown area. I know we're working on right now in the Forum, which is where the old academy was. We have a beautiful restaurant space, multiple restaurant spaces there too, and I know you could help them out with that. And there is a rooftop option there too, which we're hoping to fill up pretty soon.
Yeah, and that is also very exciting for Mid-City Lafayette. I grew up in the neighborhood just adjacent to it, and so we've all seen that
Yeah.
blighted piece of property.
Yeah.
We've all driven by it and gone, oh, Lord, what is going to happen there? So to see this actually, now under construction is I don't think people understand how cool that's going to be and how nice it's going to be for that mid part of town.
No doubt, and if you drive by, check it out because it's got such a unique look and atmosphere because it's mostly glass and big concrete slabs. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a welcome benefit to that piece of property that's kind of sat unattended for a while.
Well, Michelle, thank you for being with me today. And if you're interested in the Old Dons or Ashby Crossing, please get a hold of Michelle. How can they get you?
337-849-8171, or you could call the office here at Keaty Real Estate and just have them connect us.